Kirtland City Council meeting for May 20th, 2024. If everyone would stand. The Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I got the prayer tonight.
Where's Eric?
I got it. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Amen.
Thank you, Sue.
Just a point of order. I know we were in work session previously, and we were in executive session. If I'm not mistaken, the executive session closed at 7:07 p.m. Would that be accurate?
Okay, executive session closed at 7:07, then do we need a,
Nope,
Okay.
that's all. Thank you.
yes, that's correct.
Put it on the screen and read it.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lello? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Sue, for the prayer. Unfortunately, I don't usually do prayers. I'm agnostic, swear to God. You like it? Okay, on to the roll call, Ms. Raleigh.
Ms. Simons?
Here.
Mr. Ziegler?
Here.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Here.
Ms. Grazia?
Here,
Mr. Hamer?
Here.
Mr. Scholes? Mr. Smolik?
Here. Okay, on to the reading and approval of the minutes of the May 6, 2024 Finance Committee meeting. Looking for a motion.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. Any changes, discussions? Ms. Raleigh?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler? Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
yes,
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. Minutes of the May 6, 2024 work session. Looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion or changes? Ms. Raleigh?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
yes,
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. Okay, on to the minutes of the May 6, 2024 council meeting. Looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion or changes? Ms. Raleigh?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
yes,
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. Okay, on to department reports. Chief Hutton, you get that tire change on your wife's car?
What's that?
Do you have a flat on the wife's car or something beforehand?
I did. It's
Okay.
fixed, but thank you. Thank you, Mr. Smolik. No formal report tonight. The only thing I have is Resolution 24R36 and 37, our normal appointments by council that we do every year. And that's Christine Spees and Amy Buchanan to the Volunteer Firefighters Dependent Fund. In Ohio, part-time firefighters are considered volunteer, and it gives them added protection, in case of line of duty, injury, or death. And that's pretty much all I have. Open for questions.
Any questions for Chief Hutton? Thank you, Chief. Chief McAllister.
Thank you, Council President Smolik. Nothing formal tonight, just nice to have the kids through last week for Government Day, seeing all the faces coming through the building. And also, we had backed off some of the traffic enforcement at 306, but I'm noticing since we've slacked off, we're starting to get some more concerns there again, especially during that afternoon and evening rush. So we're going to be picking up enforcement there again, trying to see if we can curtail some of that moving forward. Traffic-wise, lots of other residential complaints, which is common for this type of year. So we're really focusing on a lot of the straightaways, Regency, Bridlehurst, Joseph Street, some of the stop signs and things in the morning there. So we're out there just trying to keep the road safe, and that'll conclude my report.
Thank you, Chief McAllister. Any questions for the chief?
Just a public thank you to the chief because I reached out to him the other day. I was coming down the 306 hill and there was a semi coming up the 306 hill. People were honking. He was coming anyway and he wasn't slowing down. So people had to get out of the way. But I was able to take note of the company that the the vehicle was with, and I found a website for them, and he was able to reach out to the company and let them know at least that their driver was doing this. By this point, the driver was gone, but I appreciate your due diligence in following up with them anyway. It could have just been an honest mistake, but it sure was scary to see an 18-wheeler coming at you, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Julie. Any other questions for the chief?
There's just no way, I'm just one question, there's just no way to get it so that, I mean, it seems like the most common thing is people going left on, off of Mark Hill on the Kirtland. I mean, there's no way we could make it so that you could go left, or is that just?
No, there's no way with the way they have the bridge and everything shut down. I mean, it's essentially one lane, so it's only got to flow one way.
Okay.
And the way the light is set up there, I don't think there's anything they could do for traffic to go that direction.
Because you can pull out of the Mormon church, right, and go right, or no? You cannot? They could take a right, right?
Any other questions for Chief McAllister? Thank you, Chief. Mr. Fenaro.
Good evening, everybody. We spent a couple weeks with third graders here at Government Day. Last week we did Arbor Day celebration. Teresa was there to help. Holden was also there to help teach 100 third graders to learn about trees. I'd like to thank our team once again for doing a great job. I'm sure you've seen today banners and flags, and the flowers went up, turning us right into spring. So they do an excellent job. Also, the road programs are going out to bid. I'm not going to take all of Doug's report, but I'll take some of it. That'll complete my report. Oh, I want to thank everybody for coming out Friday. Council, Mayor, Teresa, the Senior Center, the Kiwanis, and all the departments for making our open house a huge success again this year. So I want to thank everybody. That completes my report.
Mr. Fenaro, I want to thank you for doing that. It's always good, and especially to see the equipment and everything that's been purchased over the past couple of years, front and center. Chiefs, police were there, and the fire department was there. It was just good to see everybody out. It was good. Weather turned out to be okay. So I know that it takes a lot of effort to do that. So I just want to say I thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for Mr. Fenaro? Did anybody win the putting the pole in and out the time? Was there a speed time?
It was a resident on Joseph, actually.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Mr. Slapnicker did not win.
Okay. Did we did we offer a
I had
contract?
to take a break.
Did we offer a contract to that resident on Joseph? Service department job?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Fenaro. Mr. Courtney.
Thank you. Not much to report tonight. Road program plans and specifications are done. They will be advertised on Wednesday. We will open bids on June 6th, and we should have a recommendation for you for award of contract or contracts, depending on how it plays out, on the 17th, on the meeting for the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. Courtney. Any questions for Mr. Courtney? Thank you, Mr. Courtney. Mr. Slapdicker.
Thank you, Council President. We had our third meeting regarding road funding, so I'll get those worksheets out that we discussed to Council here within the next week or so. We finished up our gap conversion, which is our process to convert our cash basis accounting to our accrual basis to get ready for the audit. And that is, oh, one last thing. We will be showing, having the tax budget on the agenda here shortly, so expect that here within the next couple of meetings. With that, concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Slapnicker. Any questions for Lewis? Thank you, Lewis. On to Mr. Lallo.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I do not have a formal report for you today unless you have questions for me.
Any questions for Mr. Lallo? Nothing else really on the marijuana stuff coming through at all, or?
No, sir.
Okay. When would you expect, you think, end of the year, or do you think that's going to go to 25 before they do
I'm
anything?
not going to hold my breath on it.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, appreciate that. Any other questions for Mr. Lallo? Thank you, Matt. Ms. Zeri?
No formal report, just echoing everyone else's gratitude. It's been a very busy week on the city side, from Government Day to Arbor Day with the third graders to the open house to the memorial cleanup. It's always just so wonderful to see so many residents come out and support, and all the departments come together as well. So thank you all for everything you've done. There's a lot more coming up in the next month, including the gazebo concerts, which will begin on June 19th. So those are on our website, and look for flyers for those soon. So I have nothing further, but open for questions.
Thank you, Teresa. Any questions for Ms. Zeri?
Do we have an estimate, and I apologize if you've said this before, but do we have an estimate on when the outdoor facilities will be completed? I'll take that.
I've the rumor I've heard was the middle of June. Mr. Finaro will be able to advise.
The middle of June. Middle to late of June.
Okay. That's great. Okay, thank you.
They're certainly working hard on them every day. So thank you for Mr. Finaro for his work on that.
Any other questions for Ms. Zeri? Thank you, Teresa. Mayor Potter?
Thanks, Council President Smolik. I'll have a real short report because then I'm going to ask Eddie Eckert to come on up and talk about some of the happenings on the side of economic development. But first and foremost, I do want to express my condolences to the family of Officer Jacob Durbin from the city of Euclid, and the whole Euclid family, right? The entire department there, and no need to say it any more than just an absolute tragic loss. And just want to thank all the men and women that serve in that profession out there and here, certainly in our community. It's not a job I would want, and again, just an absolute tragic loss, and hearts and prayers go out to those folks over there. I did want to congratulate the Kirtland High School girls flag football team for winning another city championship. How they keep doing it, both male and female, but they keep winning these championships. I don't know what the common denominator is. I won't mention his name. It's been said over and over, but thanks to Joe Finaro and all the hard work from the Public Works Department to put together that tremendous event, the open house. Really amazing to see the community come out, and thanks to all of the officials and employees that came out and supported that as well. The Memorial Day cleanup happened over this weekend with Kirtland Kiwanis in the lead, the Garden Club, and the American Legion. And an amazing amount of work gets done in a short period of time when you get that many volunteers up here like we get every year. And it never ceases to amaze me how quickly that gets done. So thanks to everybody that comes up there and does that. Thanks to all of council for a really good and productive work session. I really mean it when I say we've got a really good group of people here that are asking the questions and bringing up the points that are the right questions and the right points and doing it for the right reasons. I mean, I just want to thank you all for working the way you do together and with this administration. Before I bring Eddie up, I know we've got our pumper on for first reading tonight. I think that's something that we're looking to move quickly on, right, Chief? And so we can talk about that when that comes up. But then we have the appointment of Louis Slapnicker for our finance director. Louis has agreed to come on full time here in the city of Kirtland. I've said over the past couple of years that now knowing what I know and having the right people in the right places, the mayor's job in Kirtland should not be full time, but the finance director job really could and should be. So I want to thank Louis for being willing to step up for the community in the city of Kirtland. I don't think his reputation certainly precedes him with his hard work and effort and what he's done here in the last 5 years. So thank you for making this commitment to Louis, and I would ask that that gets passed tonight as well. Nothing else for me. We can talk about any of the agenda items once we get in there, the resolutions, ordinances, but I do want to bring up Eddie Eckert. I'm going to spoil his report a little bit and just say thanks to Eddie's hard work, today we did just a few hours ago get an announcement from Congressman Joyce's office that through Eddie's grant request and work for sewer extension, potential sewer extensions up to the Route 6 area, we just we weren't awarded the money yet, but into the federal budget they've put $2 million through Congressman Joyce's office. So if our U.S. government can pass a budget this year as it sits today, the city of Kirtland would get $2 million toward a sewer effort extending south. So thank you very much, Eddie, for your hard work and understanding how to play through that whole process and do it well. It's a second time around you've come through for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I get into the details of that, and I was really excited to get that email this afternoon. I first want to say thank you to everybody for renewing me. I'm sorry I could not be in attendance when you renewed my contract in March, but I do appreciate it. It's a pleasure working with you all and with the mayor on these projects. So, yeah, the big news came today. There's community-directed funds are congressional office's ways of directing to specific projects, and we had applied, worked with Doug and with Joe, and then with some other community entities that we've been working on the sewer expansion research with. So Randy Roethlisberger in particular over at the county. So we submitted for this funding. Was very pleased to know that this $2 million is going to be inserted into the budget. The steps that it goes through next is it's passing a federal budget, right? So so it goes through the committee, and then Congress has to decide to do its job and pass the budget. So once that happens, which may well be towards the end of this year, these funds will be allocated. So it's not a sure thing, but the congressman's behind us. It's going to be put into the committee, and rarely, if ever, are things line itemed out of that effort. So. That's great news. Other things that I've been working on, met with Holden several times over the course of the last quarter to discuss their needs and their plans for the future and to understand exactly how the city can be helpful. And the mayor actually mentioned that we're teeing up a meeting with the new president over there here shortly. So I look forward to meeting them and talking about their future efforts. The other thing of note, a downtown property owner is discussing, had a couple of meetings with them discussing plans for development on their small site. So when I have more news to share about that, hopefully within the next month or two, we'll be able to come back and share their efforts with you all. So quick report, but a substantial one. So look forward to seeing you all in June. And just as noted, the mayor did relay to me the months that I am not here, I will be submitting a report, so the mayor will be able to share exactly what I'm up to. I recognize that's an important component of communication here. So with that, happy to take any questions.
Well, you just answered the one question I had is, can we start to just kind of get that monthly summary of activity?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Eckert.
And thank you for the.
Good job on the
Thank
getting the 2 million hopefully rolling.
Appreciate it.
Sewers on Route 6. Any other questions for Mr. Eckert from council? Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Councilman Smolik, or Council President Smolik, did I mention that on Memorial Day here, we're going to have the parade? We'll kick off at 10 a.m. and it'll start at the high school, come down 306, come to Veterans Memorial, and we'll have ceremony and speaker and all that kind of stuff. Then afterwards, I talked to Mr. McCrory from the American Legion the other day. There will be maybe hot dogs, donuts at a minimum, but for afterwards. So we have a really good turnout every year, so please make it if you can.
Always an outstanding event. Highly recommend everybody come down for that. Thank you, Mayor. Anything else, Mayor? Anything else then, Mayor? Any questions for the mayor? Thank you, Mayor Potter. Okay, we're on to standing committee reports. We have anything coming up? Any standing committee guys? Scott with the.
Did we ever pick a date? Oh,
I knew we're in limbo still a little with that. Just got to get a date.
maybe I'll send an email this week.
Okay. We'll get that going afterwards. Thank you. Thanks, Scott. Any other standing committee reports? Need to set up any? Okay, no? Okay, on to correspondence. No correspondence at this time. Now we open up to the public for public comments on matters not on the agenda. The public, if anybody has anything they'd like to say. No public comments. On to old business, which there is none at this point. On to new business. Any public comments on agenda items of new business? On to resolution number 24-R-36, a resolution confirming the reappointment of Christine Spees to the Volunteer Firefighters Dependents Board and declaring an emergency.
Motion to waive the 3 readings?
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Sue. Any discussion? Any questions? Ms. Rowley?
Ms. Simons? Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. We're looking for a motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Move.
Second.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Julie. Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. Thank you. On to resolution number 24-R-37, a resolution confirming the reappointment of Amy Buchanan to the Volunteer Firefighters Dependents Board and declaring an emergency. Looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Motion to waive the 3 readings?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. Okay, looking for a motion to declare an emergency and to adopt.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Grazia with the second. Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. On to ordinance number 24-0-38, an ordinance amending ordinance number 24-0-10 relating to the appropriations for the year 2024. Louis, I don't believe there was any.
Yes. So the only change in that appropriation ordinance is the $375,000 increase for the down payment on the fire engine.
Okay. Any questions or discussions on this? Looking, we just need to waive the 3 readings, correct? No, we don't have to declare an emergency, okay.
If the 3 readings are waived, then there would be a motion to adopt.
To adopt, correct. Looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Julie and Ron. Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes, looking for a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. To ordinance number 24-0-39, an ordinance amending section 624.17 of the codified ordinances of the city of Kirtland regarding the prohibited activities relating to medical and recreational marijuana and declaring an emergency. Did we need to pass this through, Mr. Lallo?
I'm checking the prior moratorium right now. So we have until July 31 of 24 for the moratorium to cease.
So we could go to a 3rd reading if we wanted to.
We have time for this.
Okay, if you guys want to read through, have any questions for Matt, please email him.
Leave it.
Chief, am I correct with that? Okay, I'm just checking our ordinance right now. It does expire July 31, but if there was other reasons why, okay. Perfect. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, on to ordinance number 24-0-40, an ordinance amending codified ordinance sections 1273.03, 1273.04, 1273.09, 1275.03, 1275.04, 1275.09, 1277.03, 1277.04, 1277.09, 1279.03, 1279.04, and 1279.09 relating to permitted uses, conditional uses, and landscape regulations in the institutional and office district, Old Town Center District, Retail Business District, and Limited Industrial District. Section 1284.04 related to landscape requirements, Section 1292.06 relating to wireless communication facilities, and Section 1296.03 relating to outdoor lighting and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Council President, just a clarification. I think you said Old Town Center District. It's Historic Town Center District.
Oh, okay, sorry. Did I say historic? I said Old, you're correct. Historic Town Center.
Yes. Thank you. Just
Check the Old Town Center, Historic Town Center.
a bit of background on this. The Planning and Zoning Commission is mandated by the charter to perform a review of all the zoning ordinances at least once every 5 years. Last year, they conducted that review pretty methodically throughout every month, pulling out different ordinances and taking a look. One of the conversations that was had during this review is that the zoning codes really related to permitted uses and conditional uses were kind of scattered all throughout, but they were referencing the same thing. And it created some confusion. So all this does is just places all the permitted uses for retail business in the retail business section.
In one section, correct.
And then for Historic Town Center, it says, hey, listen, you are allowed to have retail business as the permitted uses as found in retail business here. So then it forces you to go there. So then if you need to modify something that's permitted in retail business, you're only modifying it one spot rather than multiple different locations. So it just kind of cleans it up as it relates to a lot of that. But, and as it relates to conditional uses, let's say, for example, for a declaration of a similar use, if something's not specifically listed as a permitted use, but it's similar to it, well, they need to get a declaration of similar use by the Planning and Zoning Commission, but then they must also get a conditional use permit. It specifically
Each individual.
lists that, like that, you have to get both in order to have that use be permitted in that zoning district. So and then it directs you appropriately to each section. Okay. So I think from Planning and Zoning Commission's perspective, this just kind of cleans up the zoning code. It doesn't reclassify properties. It doesn't do anything like that. It's just part of that kind of housekeeping. Two things though. One, after reviewing this, and I know discussions with the mayor, there was questions about propane filling stations in the city. Nowhere is that listed as a permitted use or anything like that. And I think a question was posed, would you rather have it in a retail business district or a limited industrial district? And if it's in retail business, then it's allowed in Historic Town Center. So you got to kind of think of where you would want this located. Automotive service stations are permitted uses. And when I was trying to think of this, I was assimilating this similar to an automotive service station, gas station. And those are permitted uses in limited industrial districts. So the thought was to specifically write that in to that provision in the limited industrial
for the propane filling station.
Correct.
So that excludes, they can sell the Blue Rhino stuff just so long as they're not filling it on premise.
No. So that it would be, because you could sell propane tanks at gas stations, right? So this is actually like if you think of World of Wines in Menor, they have a propane tank. So you could essentially have the storage and retail sales of, was it liquefied petroleum gas in limited industrial districts, along with the automotive service stations.
Okay.
So one thought, while we're here and we're able to address that, is if you want to entertain that issue, is to amend, was it 1279.03 D6 to include, it already says automotive service station, and then I would just say, and the storage and retail sales of liquefied petroleum gas.
The only question I would have would be to Chief Hutton on that. Any issues with that at all?
As long as everything is within the fire code and the building code, there should be no issues with that at all. So, no.
And that's that's a recommendation to council then?
Yeah, I think to find a place in the city, like within the zoning code, I think the limited industrial is probably the best area for it. But that, again, that's just my opinion. It's ultimately up to this council to make that determination. And, so I kind of figure I'd float that to council for your determination. So if you want to consider that, it would be listed as a permitted use in the limited industrial area, limited industrial zoned sections of the city.
So, again, on this, you would be able to, like an AmeriGas, fill these, is it that type of business where you can go to AmeriGas to get these filled, or these are already pre-filled?
You
so to
can
speak?
go to a place, fill it.
Get them filled, okay, so like an AmeriGas type of place, okay.
So do we need to make that amendment tonight?
I think it would be good to have that, and then,
Can we let this go a second reading
because,
then?
it's definitely going to go a second
Third,
reading.
okay.
Because we actually, the second part of the two things is we need to set this for a public hearing on the proposed zoning changes. And that, I would ask that council set this for a public hearing at the next meeting.
Okay, so I'll make the move to amend the wording on 1249
03 D6 to read automotive service station and the storage and retail sales of liquefied petroleum gas.
There you go.
So moved?
So moved.
Second,
Is that a second from?
that's me.
Okay.
And then you said we want to make sure that makes it public hearing for the next meeting.
Correct. So there's a motion to amend this legislation that's on, so is there a discussion on that proposed amendment? If you guys want to talk about it, feel free.
Any questions? Then Ms. Raleigh will do a roll on that. Ms.
I
Raleigh?
just want to hear Joe read all the numbers again.
What was that, Scott?
No, I don't.
No, we don't.
Ms. Raleigh?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Okay, and then my request is for council to set this at what's our next meeting? June 3rd, 2024 meeting.
And this will be the public?
It would be a public hearing to
meeting, okay.
consider this ordinance
Okay,
at the June 3rd, 2024 meeting.
Okay. very good. We need
Are
to,
you on board with that, Mr.
I know,
Council
yeah,
President?
we do that public meeting June 3rd, 2024?
Yeah,
So
you
for the
don't
public-
need to vote on it, just I would
Yeah,
ask
that sounds fine with
Council
me.
President to direct.
June 3rd, 2024 for the public meeting on the second reading for the ordinance number 24-0-40, including the amendment for 1279.03 dash, I don't have a
D6.
D6, okay. Okay, thank you, Matt.
That was fun.
But not, we are still under consideration. If anybody has questions, feel free to ask, whether it's now or later.
And I don't know if anybody on council's gotten a chance to. I usually go to most of the P and Z meetings or the second Monday of the month. And the gentlemen at P and Z have been working on, they usually look at 3 or 4 segments of the ordinance every meeting and have been refining. They've been doing that for 2 years, basically, right?
Yes.
Okay. When are we supposed to redo our ordinance book or have that redone, so to speak? I know we'll be,
Probably after all this.
okay, this will be the final. Okay. Any other questions on it? 24-040? Thank you, Matt. Okay, on to resolution number 24-R-41. A resolution confirming the appointment of Louis Lapnicker as the full-time finance director for the city of Kirtland pursuant to contract and to the extent of his contractual arrangement only, and declaring an emergency. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Motion to
To-
waive the 3.
Motion to waive the 3 readings. My apologies.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler? Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. Now looking for a motion to declare an emergency and adopt?
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Raleigh?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler? Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. Thank you, Louis. Okay, on to ordinance number 24-0-42, an ordinance authorizing the city of Kirtland to enter into a contract to purchase one Rosenbauer pumper truck from All American Fire Equipment and declaring an emergency. Mr. Chief Hutton, would you like to discuss, give us the juicy details of what the city will be getting?
Well, right now, we've pretty much completed all the specs. We've got the price locked in at the amount that's listed. It'll be a rescue engine, an extrication engine. It'll have a light tower, 750 gallons of water. It'll carry the hose, the amount of hose we need. The truck is designed the size that we wanted it as far as turning radius, length, wheelbase, everything meets our specs right now. I've been working with Louis quite a bit on the lease purchase agreements, and I'm sure he can talk a little bit more about where we are with that. But as far as the vehicle, it's definitely the vehicle that we were trying to get spec'd out. So fire department, we're happy with it. And, financially, I'll let Louis speak now. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief. So we did a little rate shopping as far as the financing goes on this engine. So as far as the dollars and cents goes, we're going to be putting $375,000 down on this engine. From there, we're going to be doing a lease purchase agreement. We're going to be it's going to be a one-time payment. We're utilizing Huntington financing. We got 3 separate quotes, and Huntington came with the best rate. The rate is not locked in at this point until close, but right now we're anticipating around 5.24%, which the total interest costs and the payment due on interest in the year 2026, because we are deferring this out to that year, the interest cost is $50,131.17 on that rate.
We're deferring it for how long?
Until the payment will be due June 1st, 2026.
That's theoretically when we'll take ownership of the fire truck, or approximately that year?
Well, it's going to be close to that. They're telling us 735 days from the time we close, which should be June 3rd. They'll probably run into bumps or delays, but anywhere between June and probably fall of 26.
Have we gone on record as explaining why we're doing it this way, what the cost savings is? Previous meetings?
We've discussed it last time at the meeting for public record, but if Louis and Chief would like to go over that again, how we're going about the financing on this.
I don't want to put anybody on the hot seat, but I think it's important to just point out that the reason we're doing it this way is because it's a significant cost savings.
Yeah, so absolutely. So the chief has been tracking costs of the fire engine over the last few years, right, Chief? And based on the inflation, it looks like by his estimates that the cost could increase significantly more, up over $1 million. So if we can lock in the pricing now, although we're borrowing and we're paying $50,000 in interest, that total cost would still be less than the estimated inflation purchasing it outright in 2026.
Thank you.
And
The other
just
thing to note was
one more
that-
clarification on the financing as well. These dollars will be sitting in escrow after we close on that. These will be sitting in escrow until the vendor delivers the truck, right? So we're protecting the city in that regard as well.
And for the, initially, the thought was to, we had put money aside this year, next year, and was to purchase that fire truck in 2026 and write a check for it, so to speak, without financing. But unfortunately, if we wait to 2026 to purchase it, we're possibly looking at 2028, 2029 to get the fire truck, and then also that fire truck could go from $830,000 or $840,000 to $1 million, and you're going through this, then you're financing on the back end, doing it that way. Actually, no, we wouldn't be paying on that, we'd just be waiting for it for the 3 years, correct? Yeah, okay. So that's the reason we're going about this so early. We were planning on getting it in 2026, 2027, so this will allow us to receive it, as the chief said, between June and fall of 2026. Any discussion or questions from council?
No.
Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, now I guess we're looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings on this so we can proceed forward.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Any more discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler, Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes. Okay, on to looking for a motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Second.
Guys?
Put the pressure on Julie, come on. Straining her vocal cords over there. Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes. Good luck with that, chief. Hope
Thank you
everything
very
goes
much.
smoothly.
Thank you.
Okay, that does it for legislation. On to council comments. Items not on the agenda today. No council comments? Any continuing concerns? Anybody out in the audience at all? Okay, looking for a motion for adjournment?
Eric's there, and I already seconded it, so we're good to
All in
go.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.